The year 1877 begins with the final chapters of the Great Sioux War. On January 8th, at the Battle of Wolf Mountain in Montana, Crazy Horse and his warriors fight their last major battle against the United States cavalry. On March 2nd, the controversial Compromise of 1877 resolves the disputed presidential election of 1876, installing Rutherford B. Hayes as president, despite Samuel J. Tilden winning the popular vote on November 7th, 1876. On May 5th, Sitting Bull leads his band of Lakota into Canada to escape pressure from the United States Army under Colonel Nelson Miles. Just one day later, on May 6th, Chief Crazy Horse surrenders to United States troops in Nebraska. From May 8th to May 11th, the first Westminster Kennel Club dog show is held at Gilmore's Gardens in New York City, marking the beginning of organized dog shows in America. On June 15th, Henry Ossian Flipper becomes the first African-American cadet to graduate from the United States Military Academy. 2 days later, on June 17th, the Nez Perce defeat the United States cavalry at the Battle of White Bird Canyon, beginning the Nez Perce War. On June 20th, Alexander Graham Bell installs the world's first commercial telephone service in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. The following day, June 21st, members of the secret society known as the Molly Maguires are hanged in Pennsylvania. On July 1st, a powerful F4 tornado strikes Pennsylvania, destroying homes and killing at least 2 people, possibly 3. On July 16th, the Great Railroad Strike of 1877 erupts, spreading from Baltimore to Pittsburgh and St. Louis, where workers briefly establish a revolutionary government before President Hayes sends in federal troops. On August 9th, the Battle of the Big Hole pits the Nez Perce against the United States Army in Montana, with heavy casualties on both sides. On August 12th, astronomer Asaph Hall discovers Deimos, the outer moon of Mars, and on August 18th, he discovers Phobos, the inner moon. On September 5th, Chief Crazy Horse is fatally bayoneted while resisting confinement at Fort Robinson in Nebraska. On September 22nd, Treaty 7 is signed in Canada, establishing reserves for Blackfoot tribes in what will become southern Alberta. On November 21st, Thomas Edison announces his invention of the phonograph, demonstrating it publicly on November 29th. One day later, on November 22nd, the first college lacrosse game is played between New York University and Manhattan University. On January 20th, the Constantinople Conference comes to an end, with Ottoman Turkey rejecting proposed internal reforms and Balkan provisions, setting the stage for further instability in Eastern Europe. On the March 4th, music history is made when Pyotr Ilyich Tchaikovsky's ballet Swan Lake debuts in Moscow, later becoming one of the most famous ballets of all time. Just 20 days later, on March 24th, the historic Oxford and Cambridge boat race ends in a rare dead heat, the only draw in the event's history. Around the same time in March, the 19th Century magazine is founded in London, becoming an influential publication in Victorian intellectual life. On April 10th, entertainment history is made when 17-year-old Rasa Matilda Richter, known as Zazzle, performs the first human cannonball act in the British Isles at the London Royal Aquarium. Then, on April 24th, the Russo-Turkish War begins as Russia officially declares war on the Ottoman Empire. Political turmoil shakes France on May 16th, when Parliament passes a no-confidence motion against the government appointed by President McMahon, triggering a major constitutional crisis. Just 5 days later, on May 21st, Romania declares itself independent from the Ottoman Empire through a speech by Mihail Cogolnicianu in Parliament, though its independence will be recognized after the war. On June 30th, the British Mediterranean Fleet is dispatched to Besika Bay, signaling Britain's strategic interest in the unfolding Eastern question. In July, literary history concludes when the serial publication of Leo Tolstoy's Anna Karenina ends in The Russian Messenger. Sports history is made from July 9th to July 19th, when the first Wimbledon championships are held in lawn tennis. English cricketer Spencer Gore becomes the first men's singles champion in the only event staged that year. The Russo-Turkish War intensifies in July. On July 19th, the first battle in the siege of Plevna is fought. On July 30th, the second battle follows, and the Turkish army and its allies destroy the Bulgarian city of Stara Zagora, massacring many inhabitants. On September 1st, the Battle of Lovcha is fought, with Russian forces successfully reducing the Ottoman fortress. Finally, on December 9th, the fourth battle concludes the long siege of Plevna. Just 4 days later, on December 13th, Serbia renews its declaration of war against Turkey. Tragedy strikes Britain on October 22nd, when the Blantyre mining disaster in Scotland kills 207 miners. In the arts, Henrik Ibsen's realist drama The Pillars of Society premieres on November 14th. On December 17th, Anton Bruckner's Third Symphony has a disastrous premiere in Vienna, while Johannes Brahms' Symphony No. 2 premieres successfully on December 30th. On January 29th, the Satsuma Rebellion breaks out in Japan, as disaffected samurai rise against the new imperial government. The rebellion lasts until September, when it is crushed by a modern conscript army. On February 17th, British General Charles George Gordon is appointed Governor-General of the Sudan. On the March 15th, cricket history is made when the first test match is played between England and Australia. On April 12th, the United Kingdom annexes the South African Republic, violating earlier agreements and sparking the First Boer War. On the same day, the University of Tokyo is officially established, marking a milestone in Japanese higher education. On May 9th, a massive earthquake and tsunami hit the Pacific coast of South America, killing 2,541 people. On May 30th, Yaqub Beg of Yedishar dies, reportedly poisoned in Korla. On June 26th, the eruption of Mount Cotopaxi in Ecuador causes deadly mud flows that destroy surrounding areas and kill 1,000 people. Finally, on September 24th, the Battle of Shiroyama in Kagoshima ends the Satsuma Rebellion, as the Imperial Japanese Army annihilates the last rebel samurai forces led by Saigo Takamori, who is killed in the battle. If you enjoyed this journey through 1877, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us again as we explore another year that shaped global history, one event at a time.